Greetings. My name is Clauneck, and I welcome you to the Temple of Clauneck. In today's video, we're going to explore 5 powerful signs that Clauneck is present and truly listening when you call upon him or evoke him. These aren't just theories, these are patterns. Things that happen consistently when the connection is real. If you understand them, you'll begin to recognize the difference between imagination and response. So let's begin. Number 1. An unnatural behavior of the flame. One of the clearest and most immediate signs comes through fire. If you have a candle burning, when Clauneck is present, the flame doesn't behave randomly. It becomes intentional. In one of my own experiences, I had a large pillar candle that was completely uneven. One side had thick built-up wax, while the other side was more open, almost hollowed out. This is because I had been burning this candle consistently. There was no wind in the room, no airflow, nothing that should have influenced the flame. But after calling on Clauneck with sincerity, focus, and real intent, the flame changed. It grew significantly, larger than normal, stronger. And then it began to move, not randomly, but with purpose. It leaned towards the uneven side of the candle and slowly started to burn it down, not all at once and not chaotically, but precisely. The excess wax melted and the imbalance corrected itself until the candle became even. That's the difference. It wasn't just movement, it was directed change. And that was rather strange just to see that happen. And that kind of told me that the intention that was stated will manifest in an even manner. So really strange things can happen with the flame. Number 2, a sudden shift in the atmosphere. This is one of the first signs that something has entered the space. When you call upon a spirit, the atmosphere changes. It doesn't always happen dramatically. Sometimes it begins so subtly you almost miss it. I remember sitting in silence after calling upon Clauneck. At first nothing felt different, but then something shifted. Not the temperature exactly, but the density of the room. The air felt heavier, like the room itself had become occupied by something. The silence changed too. It wasn't empty anymore. It felt aware. When the smallest sounds, the faint crackling of the candle, seemed sharper and more defined. There was no fear, just a quiet realization that you're not alone right now. And once you feel it, you don't question it. So become aware of the entire space that you find yourself in. Bring your attention around your body to see if you can feel a change in the atmosphere. Sometimes the temperature actually does change. You feel a chill going up your spine. You feel a little bit cold or a little bit hot. I've had moments where I felt really cold when actually it was a warm summer's day. Or really, really hot when there shouldn't be a reason for me to feel that way. So this can happen too. The main thing is to stay calm and see it as a cool experience. A cool experience as in a wonderful experience. Number 3, visual impressions, lights, flashes, and peripheral manifestations. This is where things become more vivid, and for many more undeniable. It usually starts at the edge of your vision. A movement in the corner of your eyes. I've seen that very often. You could have sworn that there was something there, and then you look and it's not there. Or sometimes it can be a full physical manifestation, although that is very rare for a spirit to fully manifest physically, but it can happen. And I've heard of those who have experienced that, and that is very much possible. So it can be a movement in the corner of the eye. That's more common. A shadow that doesn't match anything in the room. You turn to look and it's gone. And then it happens again. And then the more it happens, you may begin to see even brief flashes of light. Quick, sharp, almost like sparks appearing out of nowhere. Sometimes they're orbs. I've seen that quite often. White or sometimes faintly colored purple. They don't come from any visible source. They just appear. And then there are images, not seen with your physical eyes, but impressed into your awareness. Strong, sudden visualizations that feel complete the moment they arrive. I remember asking a direct question during one working. There was a pause, then instantly an image. Clear, structured, meaningful. It didn't feel like imagination. It felt like an answer. That's the key difference. And of course I followed that image and it of course led me to the answer. It was the answer in that way because it created a change. You're not creating it, you're receiving it. If you're using a scrying mirror or some other scrying medium like a bowl of water or a crystal, etc., this can be even more pronounced. Shapes can begin to form within the surface, subtle at first, then more defined. And in extremely rare cases, rare enough that it should never be expected, there can even be a more physical manifestation. But that is not the goal. The flashes, the movement, the imagery, these are real signs. Number 4. An internal voice and thought communication. This is where the experience becomes deeply personal. Because instead of seeing, you may begin to hear. Not always as a clear external voice, sometimes it starts as something faint like a whisper. At the edge of your awareness, you pause, unsure if you actually heard anything, and then it happens again. But keep in mind, for some people and in some situations, there could be clear communications, actually like you're having a phone call with someone. But what becomes more noticeable, and is very common, is your thoughts. They begin to change, not chaotic, not random, but structured and responsive. You may ask a question, and instead of thinking through the answer arrives. I remember sitting with Clauneck, asking a question. At first nothing, then slowly my thoughts began to form on their own, sentences completing themselves, responses appearing without effort. And the strange part was, I wasn't choosing the words. They began automatically. It felt like a conversation, but only one side of it was under my control. At times it even felt like my own inner voice was speaking back to me, but with clarity and direction I hadn't created. That's how you know the difference. It doesn't feel forced. It feels received. Number 5. Now these are the signs, also signs of real success. This is where things become real. Because the response doesn't stay in the ritual, it moves into your life. And very often it shows up through money, opportunities, and financial movement. I remember making a clear request, focused and specific. Then I let it go. No obsession, no doubt, just trust. And then things began to shift. An unexpected payment came through. Money. This has happened innumerable times that I can count. Then another situation opened up. Something that led directly to profit with almost no resistance. Many opportunities where money, finances, opportunities for financial growth can come to you. It could be even as simple as finding a $100 bill on the floor. It just depends on what it is. It may depend on the timing, the precision, how accurate it aligns with your intention. Things that normally would have taken weeks or wouldn't have happened at all move quickly, smoothly in your favor. Small financial wins begin appearing first. The larger ones follow. It feels like pathways are opened and cleared and even created. Moments where you stop and think, that really was weird that I made money like that. That's the pattern. It's not random luck, not chaos, but structured, intentional gain. It's Clauneck doing the work and helping you out. So the more you work with Clauneck, the more these signs become clear. Sometimes it's important to become aware of number 6. This is kind of the bonus sign. For those of you who waited till the end of the video, you get this number 6, which is probably the most important, which are personal signs. These are signs specific to you that tell you that Clauneck is there. That could be very, very specific, very, very unique to you. One thing that's very clear to me is my voice changes when I speak to Clauneck, and I know he's there. My voice becomes very high-pitched when I speak to Clauneck. I don't know why, and I know that he's there because it happens automatically. So like this, you may have your own unique thing. I'm not saying that what I just said applies to you. This is very personal to me. But you may have your own sign that tells you that he is there. So I think what's important is to do the work. Continue contacting him. Notice the flame, the atmosphere, the visions, the voice, the results, the personal signals. Each one is a signal. Each one builds on the last. And over time, you stop wondering if he's listening, and you know he is there. Avalan Essen Clauneck Kiar. Hail Clauneck.